just to mention, because I'm an old man, I've been doing TEEs. We did our first TE here in the end of 1988 or like 1989. We were one of the early ones in the U.S. to use transesophageal, not the earliest, but we were fairly early on. So I've been doing TEs for nearly 30 years. I don't know my numbers. I don't add them up like the fellows do to submit, but it's a couple of thousand. And this is, I'm going to present something that I just learned recently when Dr. Rabachowski visited us in June, and that's the atrial septal pouch, something I wasn't aware of. But he stayed with me in June and visited us, our lab, for a couple of days when he was here for the American Society of Echo meeting in June. And this is a case that he brought. I think we actually showed it in Echo Conference. This is the left atrium, the right atrium. This is a clot in the septal pouch, but this is a thrombus in what's the septal pouch. I think I have his case that actually moves. And this is from the same case that he shared with us. And so I delved into this a little bit, and I found that that somehow I've missed it. I wasn't aware of this entity so much, and surprisingly a large number of publications on it. But I'll show this with a diagram in a minute, but the atrial, as you know, the septum primum and septum secundum are non-fused in utero to allow blood to cross the atrial septum so that oxygenated blood can get to the fetus. And shortly after birth, when pressure relations change, they get pushed together. And in the majority of people, they actually fuse. They actually glue together or fuse. But in 25 to 30% of everybody, so a good number of people sitting here in this audience, they don't fuse, and we have a patent foramen ovale. So I'm not sure which of you do or don't have a patent foramen ovale, but some do. So this is what a patent foramen ovale is. This is septum secundum, septum primum, and when they don't fuse, there's potential for blood to go back and forth, left to right and or right to left. Normals, 60 to 70% of normals, these glue together fully, so there's no opening. Now, if they fuse at one end or the other, and for some reason, in almost everyone, when there's partial fusion, it tends to be at this end, which is actually the cephalad end, then there's a potential little space right in here. And this is what's been termed left atrial septal pouch. Theoretically, you can have a right atrial septal pouch, but they're very uncommon. This is another diagram that I've made modifying from an article here, and septum primum, septum secundum, if they fuse here, you've got a little potential space here, so there's no opening. When we do a contrast echo, we don't show any shunt, but there's a little potential space here with the potential for a thrombus to occur. And this is a diagram from another author showing a patent foramen ovale with opening, this is a left atrial septal pouch, which is what I'm referring to. This is rare right atrial septal pouch, and if you fuse in the middle, you can even have potential space in both with potential for a clot. And this is a prevalence, I don't know if I can get this little diagram out of the way, but by autopsy, TEE, CT scan, etc., you see the prevalence of this is it's not rare. So it's just another item that I'm now looking at in transesophageal echoes as a potential cardiac source of embolus. I think it's actually very rare, even though clots have been shown in them. But Rita will tell you that I've been interested in this and looking at this. She's even worked on this on a couple of patients with me looking for these, but it's fairly common. this won't advance, so I need to do it with the mouse, et cetera, but theoretically, a thrombus can occur in that little space. This is one of our cases which has a septal pouch. You can see that it's fused here, so there's no PFO, but there's the potential for a clot to occur in this little space right here. This is one of our cases, case from the literature, et cetera, all with different modalities. 3D echo showing the same thing. This is potential space, and some people have even looked at the volume or area that occurs in this little space, et cetera, and so forth. So it's just something, this is a number of papers that have looked at the potential space. This would be a left atrial pouch and a right atrial septal pouch in blue, et cetera. Just something that I was not aware of at all until Dr. Rabachowski brought us and showed us a case with a thrombus in that particular patient. That patient had severe heart failure with a bad ejection fraction, and it's been our experience and the world's experience that even that patients who develop clots in their left atrial appendage, the vast majority of those also have LV dysfunction. So the combination is even higher. This is CT scan illustrating the same thing, septal pouch by TE. So there's just a lot of papers, and I just somehow missed that entity, wasn't very aware of it, et cetera. I just thought I would share that with you quickly.